Too good to miss. Too good not to show you this morning. Thank you for joining me at Stand on Guard. One day away from Christmas Eve. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for watching, for being a part of the Krayden's Right family. Got a few interesting things to show you this morning. Before I forget, though, no, let's show the intro. We'll be right back.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please like the station. You've been doing a lot of that lately. I really appreciate it. And please continue to stand on guard for Canada as we enter the new year very shortly. Please resolve to resist. We all need to do that. And any support you can offer is always appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't. We've had a mass of subscribers. I'm still hoping we can hit 40,000 by the end of the year. That's getting kind of close. Only 9 days away. But we can do it together. It's like we're taking back this country together. And by the way, if you've been buying anything from our store in the last couple of weeks for Christmas, take a picture of yourself in the Krayden's Right merchandise, whether it's a hat, or whether you've got your mug, or whether you've got your hoodie or t-shirt. Of course, and we're going to be offering toques very soon. Take a picture, send it to me at my email address, davidkrayden@hotmail.com, or direct message me on X. I'm not one of these people who's inaccessible. I will be if you're you're rude. Otherwise, no. It's a pleasure to communicate with the good people who support this show and watch this show, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. This has been a difficult year, 2024. Very, very difficult year in many ways, but it's also been a great year in other ways, and you've all been part of that, and I appreciate it so much. So please do that. Send your pictures with your Krayden's Right Stand on Guard merchandise on, and we'll show them. And hearing some funny things on the comments section this morning with Chrystia Freeland. Let's never forget, before we get into the guts of this program, who Chrystia Freeland is. She is a dyed-in-the-wool liberal who froze the bank accounts of not just Freedom Convoy supporters or participants, protesters, but supporters. And it was all illegal. It was all based on a hacked internet, an internet hack that was leaked to the news media. And all of these people who contributed had their bank accounts frozen. I know people who were in that position. This Chrystia Freeland, she's not suddenly a good woman because she embarrassed Justin Trudeau. And I was thinking this morning as I was half awake, this could still be just a ruse between the two of them. Because these two, liberals are mendacious. They love to lie to you. Do you think Chrystia Freeland's lying to us? You think maybe she's playing games with us and the Trudeau is playing along? It's possible. Now, I was I won't say supportive of Chrystia Freeland a week ago today when that letter went out, but I thought she was clever. Liberals can be very clever. I thought she was very clever in what she did. But I don't think she did anything very good because she wants to be the leader of the Liberal Party, or she wants Justin Trudeau to escape his current problems by looking like she's standing up for truth. And this gives Trudeau an opportunity over Christmas to play some more games with us. But here's somebody who's not playing games right now, and I want to take my hat off to Pierre Poilievre for doing this. Some people criticize me because you can't say anything negative about Pierre Poilievre. Well, sorry, I will. If he says something stupid, like encouraging a war in the Middle East or encouraging war in Ukraine, that's pretty stupid. I'll call it that. But what he said here is brilliant. And I wrote a story about this the other day, which I'll get to, This guy it's outside of Montreal. He murdered his wife and 2 kids, stabbed his wife dozens of times, and suffocated his children, then tried to set the apartment on fire. And suddenly he's a woman. Oh, I feel like a woman. I'm transitioning. Soon as it's all over. Oh, it's time to transition. So here it is. Pierre Poilievre says surreal. A man who killed his wife and 2 kids now claims he's a woman to go to a female prison. Well, yeah, it's a little easier for a female, especially if you're a predator. Yeah, it's a great place for a predator to be, female prison. I can't believe I have to say this, but when I'm prime minister, there will be no male prisoners in female jails. Period. Now, this guy, Mohammed Al Balouz, decided he's a woman. He goes, and of course, he's changed his name, yeah, and now he's a woman. And of course, if you read all of the articles, save mine for the post millennial, which is right here, you will see the journalist slavishly upholding this transgender rules and claiming this biological male is a woman. Hmm. It's enough to turn your stomach. And of course, when I wrote this story, I said, I can see where this is going. Yeah, I can see where this is going. It's patently obvious. He wants to go to the Joliet Institution for Women because, of course, Canada started this. My God, about 6, 7 years ago, we started sending men, biological males, to female prisons. So Poilievre has said, no, not going to happen under my watch. And I mean, when I wrote this story, you just want to throw up. It is just so nauseating. This completely unprovoked attack against his wife and 2 kids, just out of the blue. And of course, read the story. I encourage you to read the story because it's enough to just make you. Well, I'm not trying to make you physically sick, but you read this and you wonder what the hell is wrong with our society. And this guy acted as his own counsel at the trial, and of course, that didn't go so well. He left behind a boatload of evidence, and let's just say the Crown Attorney did his job very well, very admirably, and yeah. And turning back to Trudeau here for a minute, I would encourage you to read my article in Substack, and I'm going to start writing for Substack every week, at least once a week, hopefully twice. I have been so I don't want to say conflicted, but I have been so busy doing other writing of late that I've ignored, unfortunately, one of the best places for me to be, which is Substack, where I can write what I want. And this is an examination of Justin Trudeau's cabinet shuffle and how I watched this thing and I said, God, what does he remind me of here? This is just he's hunched over. He's got his hands in front of his private parts. Don't want to be rude in my description. He's whispering in people's ears, sort of nodding a lot and bowing and nodding. I thought he looks like an undertaker at a funeral. And if you've ever seen how some undertakers behave at funerals, it's like they try to look like they're completely at the service of everybody, and they don't want to be too loud, and they're whispering people's ears, and they're bowing, and they're almost protecting themselves from the pain that's going on, the grieving. And Trudeau looked like an undertaker. He looked like a funeral director, except it was his funeral. And yeah, I read some of your comments earlier, and if you watch the mainstream media, it's like, wow, Way to go, Justin. What a cabinet shuffle. That was really smart. Look at the people you put up. Yeah, there's 11 ministers now from Quebec. Not one from Alberta. I think there might be one from BC, one from Manitoba, 11 from Quebec. And they're all non-entities. These are people you have never heard of and you'll never hear of again. They're probably going to lose their seats in the next election when the Liberals go down to about 10 seats and become the third or fourth party in the House, if they're still there at all. But these are people you've never heard of, and you'll never hear of them again. They're caretakers while Justin decides how best to hold on to power. Does he prorogue? Does he go for the non-confidence vote and then go into the next election? Because, well, we can't have a leadership race now. I really think that's how he's thinking. Go ahead. Let's go for broke. Let's roll the dice. Let's go for it. Go ahead, Jugmeat. Make my day. I think that's where his mind is right now. He believes he can enter this election with 17 to 20% support, and he's going to come out on top with 40 something again. Yeah, he believes in himself. I don't know if he believes in God. Whatever his God is, it's certainly not the God of the Bible. It's not the God of the Catholic Church, even by definition. He doesn't believe half of the doctrine of the Catholic Church. He is a walking, talking hypocrite in everything about him. His religion might be climate change, but of course he violates that religion all the time by driving a huge SUV, a convoy of SUVs wherever he goes, jet setting around the world. Rules don't apply to Justin Trudeau. Doesn't matter if he violates his climate change faith. But Justin Trudeau believes in himself, and I can honestly see Justin Trudeau deciding, hey, this is my opportunity to do it. Now, Bob Fife, of course, I knew Bob Fife fairly well, and I worked in Parliament Hill. He used to talk to my MP quite a bit, and because my MP was very interested in media attention, let's put it that way, and the media was very interested in him. And Bob Fife was, we used to have coffee quite a bit. So Bob does have his ear to the ground. And he's saying that, Trudeau's going to take Christmas. And based on a source he talked to, Trudeau's going to stick around Ottawa for Christmas, then go out to BC to ski, from Whistler, obviously, where his dad used to ski as well. And that's going to be his Christmas. No Jamaica this year. Might not look too good. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. But if you've got to read this. And once again, anybody out there who thinks Chrystia Freeland is somehow going to be the savior of either the Liberal Party or, for that matter, Canada? No. Listen to what they say here. Ms. Freeland, who represents a Toronto riding, was on the Ontario caucus call Saturday. That's the one where 50 MPs said it's time for Trudeau to go. But she did not say anything. A source close to her said she is weighing a run at the leadership if Mr. Trudeau leaves. That's Globe and Mail style guide, by the way. Mr. This, Ms. This. She has been flooded with calls from MPs, party members, and wealthy people offering their support, the source said. We might also include in stupid people if they're calling her offering their support, or stupid wealthy people who have lots of money to burn. I found that incredible, but that's what the story says. Lots of people calling up Chrystia Freeland. How can I help? How can I help your campaign to be the next leader of the Liberal Party, be the next Prime Minister of Canada? How can I help? Anyway, we're not breaking the numbers today, but that's okay. Want to show you. This is wonderful. This is Rob Schneider at Turning Point USA conference yesterday in Phoenix, Arizona. I did a couple of stories on this for the Post Millennial. And I'm going to bring on Tom Homan, and not, I am actually trying to get Tom Homan on the broadcast, but I'm going to show you a clip from Tom Homan's speech at the Turning Point USA. This was also the conference where Donald Trump said, woke is BS. And I think Pierre Poilievre heard that yesterday. And I think that's why Pierre Poilievre said, this is BS, what's going on in this Quebec prison, or what could be going on in this Quebec prison. And I think that's what spurred all of that. But here's Rob Schneider. This is enjoyable. Enjoy.
Democrats, you lost because you tried to convince the American people that it was racist-y to close the border and not let people come in illegally to rob and murder them. You lost because nobody gives a f*** about the term Latinx. You lost because your Justice Department called parents who showed up at school board meetings terrorists just for not wanting pornography in their children's classrooms. You lost, Democrats, you lost because you lied about January 6th, calling it worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11, instead of what January 6th really was, the FBI guided tour of the Capitol building. You lost, Democrats, because men can't have babies, women don't have dicks, even if they play in the WNBA. And free speech isn't a privilege like a driver's license. It's a God-given right guaranteed by our Constitution.
Wonderful. That is a wonderful moment. And our Constitution guarantees free speech too. We never talk about that. But we do have freedom of speech in the Charter of Rights. And it's time to remind Justin Trudeau about that, and our Attorney General, who wants to push Bill C-63 down our throats. Yeah, we have free speech. So we're in a hell of a big mess here in Canada, with Trudeau continuing to cling to power, and it's not going to work out well either way, because either we have a snap election right soon, and we get a conservative government, or this is going to drag on for months, with Trudeau either proroguing, having a leadership race. But we need an election as soon as possible in February, because Donald Trump is coming to office on January 20th, 2025. That's going to be a huge day. And I tell you, Trudeau's not ready for it. The Canadian government's not ready for it. Not a single non-entity sitting in the cabinet is ready for it. And who has he got left? Oh my God. Champagne? Wilkinson? Melanie Joly? She thinks she could be the next prime minister too. Could be between Melanie Joly and Chrystia Freeland. Now there's a choice. But it's all for nothing, because they're going down big time. Let's listen to Tom Homan, the border czar in the States. And my God, don't you wish we had somebody like this in Canada, in the government, talking like this? Plain speech, total honesty. I love this guy.
Some of the media says I'm offensive. I'm okay with that, but I get to live in their minds rent-free. That's kind of cool. Hey, look, for the last 3.5 years, I wake up every morning pissed off about what this administration did. This is the most secure border in my lifetime. I've worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan, and every president I worked for took steps to secure the border because they understood you can't have strong national security if you don't have border security. We didn't know who's coming in, what's coming in, where it's coming in. No one was better than President Trump. He was one badass president who secured the border at unprecedented levels. Illegal immigration at a 45-year low. Illegal immigration down 83 to 90%. Extraordinary work. Joe Biden is the first president in history of this nation who came into office and unsecured the border on purpose. Not by mismanagement, not by incompetence. They unsecured the border by design. The first day I smiled when President Trump won this election. I woke up the next morning, I was happy. I smiled for the first time in a long time. Then I got angry again. Because even though they lost the election, they're still moving thousands of illegal aliens in this country every day. CBP-1 app still running. They're selling pieces of the border wall, for God's sakes, that you, the American taxpayers, paid for at a hefty price, and now we got Biden again. This.
Did you hear that one? I love this. This has been so underreported. They're actually selling portions of the border wall that were never put in place. This is how reckless and crazy Biden's administration is. I mean, God knows Joe Biden is out of it. He's not running anything. But the people behind the Biden administration are just so incredibly stupid and evil. That's the only way to describe it. They're evil.
There is no smooth transition. They're going to destroy this country up to the last day they're in the Oval Office. But I got news for them. January 20th, the greatest president in my lifetime is going to walk into the Oval Office and take this country back. President Trump called me a few Fridays ago and says, okay, you've been bitching about the border for 4 years. You want to come fix it? I said, absolutely. I'm back. I got to learn how to retire. This is the second time I can retire to come back for this president. But I love this president because he loves this country. I love this president because he wants to secure the border. I love this president because the securing the border saves lives. What Joe Biden did by unsecuring the border is this. Sex trafficking, up over 600%. Known as suspected terrorists, people on the terrorist watch list, well over 300 apprehended. President Trump, in 4 years, we had 13. We ended catch release. Joe Biden's released at least 8 million illegal aliens in this country in violation of federal law. And I said it before, for the millions of illegal aliens that have been released in this country in violation of federal law, you're going home, and Tom Homan's going to make sure that happens.
So we're finally hearing the numbers that are closer to the reality. It's not 2 million. It's not 3 million. It's at least 8 million, and probably higher. Because that's what I've heard from guests I've had on this show who know the border, who have been part of Customs and Border Protection, who have been there. And it's 8 million. That's probably still low, but at least we're getting close.
Think about this for a moment, what they did. They created the biggest national security vulnerability this nation's ever seen. I already said they arrested over 300 people on the terrorist watch list. Well, there's over 2 million known gotaways. Why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less to be turned over to the Border Patrol, be released within 24 hours, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room at $500 a night, get 3 square meals a day, get free medical attention, and get work authorization within 120 days? Why did they pay more not to take advantage of this free giveaway program? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. These are your gang members. These are the ones carrying fentanyl across the border. And these are people from terrorist-related countries. After 9/11, we created all these databases. You got the FBI screening database. You got the DOD intel database. You got the visa security program, which stopped thousands of people from getting a visa to come to the United States like the terrorists of 9/11 did. So we vet them now, and we vet through the process. You don't get a visa if we find derogatory information in your background. But what terrorist today is going to put himself in a position to ask for a visa or ask for an airline ticket when he can simply go to Mexico and be a part of that 2 million getaway?
Yeah. And that is, he went on for about 10 minutes. Beautiful speech outlining exactly what's happened in the last 4 years and what's going to happen, hopefully, in the next 4 years. And Tom Homan is a border czar. And it's almost as if Donald Trump used that title to completely ridicule the fact that that's what Kamala Harris was supposed to be under Joe Biden, a border czar who did absolutely nothing to protect the border. Now we know that. Joe Biden's history, I don't know how much longer he's even got for this earth. It looks like the end is near for Joe Biden. I saw a report last week that he's barely alive in the White House. And people are making crazy decisions around him that he has no control over anymore. Not that he didn't make a lot of crazy, stupid decisions when he had some cognizance, but it's going crazy in these last few days. We are lucky. Christmas is here in 2 days. We are so blessed that we are not in a nuclear war because the Democrats in the States, the liberals, and to some extent the conservatives in Canada have tried very hard to get us into a nuclear war with Russia and a nuclear war erupting in the Middle East. We can thank God we're not there. And I think things are going to change in the nick of time, not a moment to waste. There's probably a few times in history when a president will make such a big difference to the history that he lives in, to the times he lives in. Donald Trump will be that man. Justin Trudeau is a non-entity. He was never anything else. And this is the Sun King who never wanted sunny ways, just to control your life, tell you how to live, how to think, how to speak, and he wants to raise your kids. And that's all Justin Trudeau's ever been about. And to be a big hypocrite about feminism, about climate change, and about race. The man is a catastrophe. His tenure as prime minister has been a disaster, but the times, they are a changin'. You all remember the Bob Dylan song. The times, they are a changin'. We're going back to common sense. We're going back to reality. We're going back to something that makes sense again. We haven't been there for quite a while. And to get back to the beginning of the show again, what Pierre Poilievre said here, that's what I need to see. I need to see a prime minister in waiting who's prepared to take this country back the same way Donald Trump is going to take back the United States. And I'm so happy to see that. So congrats, plaudits. This is very, even at this point, it's a little bit courageous for Pierre Poilievre to do this because he's going to be lambasted by the woke left. But I'm glad he did it. We need to see this. Thanks for watching today, folks. God bless you. Christmas Eve tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. And I've had some difficulty lining up some interviews I wanted to do today with some of the new media folks who are out there as independent journalists. I want to give them recognition. I've spent my life in the media, at Parliament Hill, in the military, doing the official role. And it's only been in the last 3 or 4 years that I've really linked up with a lot of these new citizen journalists who are out there doing a hell of a job. And I want to congratulate them and give them as much exposure as possible. Thanks for watching. I will be back again tomorrow. Continue to resolve to resist. And I'll be back with all the news you need to know. Bye for now.